What's going on, guys? Overman back up in this mother, and in today's video we're going to talk about the Star Wars Battlefront beta. So I've been playing this beta for several hours now, and I have to say that I am thoroughly unimpressed with the showing thus far for Star Wars Battlefront. Now, that's not to say it's a 0 out of 10 terrible game or anything like that, because there is some fun to be had in this beta, and I know that some people are really going to enjoy this game. It's just that it doesn't offer as much as I thought it would have, and I'll explain why in just a bit. But first off, I want to address this concern that a lot of people have been having. I see a lot of people saying that this is just a Star Wars skin on Battlefield 4, and I have to disagree. While it is on the Frostbite engine, and it does have battles taking place on a massive scale, including vehicles, that's where the similarities stop. And I would think that the people who loved Battlefield 4 probably won't like this game as much, and that's because they're fundamentally different in terms of their skill gap, complexity, depth, and replayability. And here's why. First off, there's no class system. So your average player might be thinking, oh, that doesn't matter because you can just create your own class. Well, the thing is, each class in previous Battlefront games had their own special abilities and their own weapons, which meant that each class had their own specific playstyle. So a class system gives a game complexity, depth, and replayability, and a skill gap, because you can play the same game mode on the same map with two different classes and have two different experiences. For example, you could play as an engineer and you can go around repairing your teammates' vehicles and destroying the enemy's vehicles. And in previous Battlefront games, you could repair those droids that would refill your health and ammo. Or maybe you were a medic and you'd go around dropping health packs for your teammates. That's no longer the case in this game. So while it is easier for someone to jump into because there's no specific classes that that person has to learn, this accessibility comes at the cost of some replayability down the road. And also, this compresses the skill gap to an extent, because if there were classes, stronger players could figure out strategies to go along with certain gadget and weapon combinations, and thus they gain an advantage over the weaker players. So if you're a strong player, this is bad for you, but if you're a weaker player, this is good for you. But I don't want to make it sound like there's no skill gap in Star Wars Battlefront, because there is. And so far in the beta, I think it's mostly found in maneuverability. You see, the terrain in Battlefield games have never been flat and perfect like it is in Call of Duty. There's a lot of dips, crests, mounds of dirt, and jagged edges of rocks and things like that that you can take cover behind. So taking cover in those areas and knowing when to take cover in them and how to position yourself is part of the skill gap in this game. Also, another part of the skill gap is going to be using your gadgets, because there are gadgets in this game, and things like the boost jump and the shield will benefit stronger players, because stronger players will know how to use those things more effectively. For example, a stronger player will know when to boost out of trouble and how to maneuver themselves so they can get into a position of advantage on their enemy, and they'll know when to pop that bubble, because the bubble only lasts for a few seconds. Now, it does last pretty long enough to get into a good position to fight off the enemies, but if you don't know where to go and you're just running around like a chicken with your head cut off, that bubble isn't going to do much, because the enemy's just going to wait and shoot you when the bubble drops. And then you can use those two things in combination with each other. You can pop your bubble and then jump, or jump and pop your bubble, run up on a guy and then shoot him. There's different tactics that you're going to be able to use with these gadgets, and that's one thing I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the infantry combat and how that's going to change based on the new gadgets that we'll get in the full release of the game. However, now that we're talking about gadgets, let me talk about the ammo, because the ammo in this game is infinite for gadgets and weapons. No one's dropping ammo in this game because you're not going to need it. Your weapons will overheat, but they'll never run out of ammo. And the abilities like the grenades and the jumps and the bubble, it's on a cooldown, and this is a big problem, especially with the grenade, because there's going to be a lot of grenade spam in this game. You play drop zone and there's a ton of grenade spam going on, because people know they can chuck a grenade into the objective area, possibly get a kill, maybe an assist, and then by the time they get to the objective area, their grenade will recharge, because it recharges in like under 10 seconds. I think it's something like 7 seconds it recharges. So there's a ton of grenade spam because you have infinite grenades, and the system doesn't punish people for throwing bad grenades at bad times. You can waste a grenade and it'll be okay, because you'll just get one in a few seconds. So that means in the full release of the game, or maybe on the last day of this beta, you're gonna see a lot more ability spam, because people are gonna have the boost jump unlocked, people are gonna have the bubble unlocked, and they're gonna be spamming them. You're gonna see them a lot more often. Now, in previous Battlefront games and Battlefield games, you didn't have infinite ammo, so you needed to rely on some teammates to drop ammo for you, or in the old Battlefront 2 game, you'd have to go stand near the droids and you'd get health and ammo from them. That's no longer the case. Those things have all been taken out, and thus we lose a layer of complexity and depth from the game once again. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the pickup system. Everything is a pickup in this game. The ATSTs, the AT-ATs, the TIE fighters, the heroes, etc. They're all pickups. Now, I'm okay with the heroes being a pickup because I want want everyone to get a chance with the heroes, you know? Everyone paid their 60 bucks. I want everyone to be able to use the heroes because everyone wants to run around with this lightsaber and fuck kids up and block bullets and, you know, force choke people and force push people and throw their lightsaber around. It's cool, you know? So I'm okay with that being a random thing, because if it was just a reward for doing well, then only some players would get it. So I'm okay with the heroes being randomized, but there are some things I'm not okay with being randomized. For example, the smart rocket, as this is a very effective and consistent way of dropping an ATST. However, it's randomly picked up. So the thing is, if you have an ATST firing down at your team, you can't do shit unless that smart rocket spawns next to you, and that's random, right? Now, maybe in the full release of the game, or maybe once I progress a little bit more, maybe I haven't just looked through all the gadgets properly enough. Maybe there's something there to fight vehicles like that and make up for not having a smart rocket on hand. But as it stands, this is a huge problem with the game, and it makes it random, and it's just not strategic, and that's bad. And even for casuals, that's bad, because now they're gonna be sitting there, they're just gonna be shooting at this thing, and it's like, how do you take this thing down, you know? And they're gonna be really confused, and I think that's gonna hurt them more than it's gonna help them. And of course, stronger players or people who just appreciate that skill gap are gonna be frustrated because they're gonna be getting pooped on by this vehicle, and they don't really have a consistent way of fighting them. This is one of the things that makes it really hard to play as the rebel faction on Hoth. It is a severe challenge to win if you spawn in as rebels, and I kind of don't like that, because I get why, like lore wise, I understand why it's hard for the rebels to win that fight, but in a video game, it's kind of cheesy and cheap, because you want it to be fair and balanced, right? Because that's what competitive multiplayer is about. But then again, this game isn't that competitive. Now let me move on to the next thing, which I have a massive problem with, which is the partner system. Why don't we have a squad system? Squad system is totally superior to the partner system. With a squad system, you have more spawn. There's just straight up more people you can spawn on. That's better. Also, if you're in a bigger party, you want to be in a squad. You want all you guys to be together. You don't want to be, okay, you two go over there and you two go over there. That kind of kills the fun of the game. And playing a multiplayer game, you guys want to play together. You guys want to be in the same squad. Just give us a squad system. This partner system is silly. I get it's supposed to be a little bit simpler than the squad system, and that's what they're going for here, but man, that's just kind of BS in my opinion. I would much prefer a squad system in this game. But even saying that, if you were to play as a squad, you know, you 4 guys running together, what are you guys gonna do? You know, it's gonna be very generic. You're just gonna go to the objective, you know, you're gonna capture the objective, and woohoo, it's the same thing you do in every other game. I mean, there's no creative tactics to take advantage of like you would in other Battlefield or Battlefront games. You know, you can't run around with your friend who's in the ATSC and repair his vehicle while he's raining down hell on enemies. Now, that's something that would introduce a skill gap, and the thing about that is that would hurt the players who don't want to fight against that, who don't want to party up, who don't want to use creative strategies with their teammates and stuff like that, who can't use teamwork to take down that ATSC. And I guess, once again, that's just what they were going for. Now, that's not an objectively bad thing with the ATST, because that's going to hurt a lot of the casuals if they included something like that. So some people are going to like that. If you're a casual, you're just playing by yourself, you're playing with one buddy, you're not really down to learn all these strategies and whatnot, you just want to jump in and have fun, this is going to be good for you. That's who they're looking out for with this game. But for those of us who want to use these cool strategies, we're not getting a game to use them here. So yeah, those are the reasons why I'm not really too hyped about this Star Wars Battlefront beta, and why I'm not too hopeful for the full release of it next month. Now, I know a lot of people are defending the beta and saying, oh, it's just a beta, you know, it's gonna get so much better in the full release. That's possible because we haven't unlocked everything, we haven't played all the game modes, we haven't got all the gadgets and weapons and things like that. So in that respect, it could get better, but in a way, it can't get better. In terms of the core gameplay mechanics, none of that's gonna change, because newsflash, if a beta comes out a month before the full release of the game, it's not a beta, it's a demo. This is a demonstration, and the worrying thing is that normally in a multiplayer beta, they will put their best foot forward. What's worrying me is that this is as good as it's gonna get, and everything else is not as good as this. That's extremely worrying for me. You know, if that's the case, this is gonna be a bad game for me. You know, part of me is thinking that Conquest is gonna be better, but how is it gonna be better? The core gameplay mechanics are gonna be the exact same. The only difference is you're gonna be fighting for flags, so it'll be like an extended drop zone type mode, right? You know, because in drop zone, people are all huddled around one area fighting for an objective. In Conquest, it's going to be the same thing, but with multiple areas like that, and with vehicles, of course. But once again, the vehicles are randomized, so meh. But anyways, to wrap this all up, I think if you're a casual player, you're just looking to jump in and have a little bit of fun, you're not looking for a ton of depth and replayability, or a ton of complexity, this is probably going to be a good game for you. You'll probably enjoy this, and a lot of people are enjoying this game. I don't want to make it sound like this is a 0 out of 10 game. A lot of people are enjoying it, but a lot of people are not enjoying it. People like me who are looking for that depth and replayability and the skill gap and all those things, we're not going to get that. It's not going to be so great for us. There is some skill gap, and it is fun because it is just Star Star Wars, but I really think that's all this game has going for it. I really think if it wasn't set in the Star Wars universe, this game would flop. But it is set in the Star Wars universe, so if you're looking for that Star Wars fix, I guess you can go out on a limb and pick this one up. But I think for $60, this is just not good value, because this is mostly a multiplayer game. This is the big thing that's being sold, and the multiplayer doesn't even offer that much. You know, I can understand why the multiplayer is the main aspect of Battlefield 4. That multiplayer experience is massive. You know, it's expansive. There's a lot of things to do in that multiplayer. There's a lot of hours of fun to be had from that multiplayer. But this one, it just has me scratching my head. This seems like the side attraction, not the main attraction. You know, if this game had a really good single player experience, I would totally be okay with this multiplayer. You know, I'd play the single player, then I'd come over here for a little bit to have some fun, then I'd go back to single player. But that's not the case here. The multiplayer is the main attraction, and for me, it ain't all that. And that's a big shame, because this game could have been something amazing. This game could have been really awesome, because I thought this was going to be the perfect synthesis between, you know, that hardcore Battlefield experience and then something a little bit more simplistic like Call of Duty. I knew this wasn't going to have as much depth as Battlefield 4, and I was okay with that because it's the Star Wars Battlefront game. I understand that. But at the same time, I didn't think it'd be this arcadey. I thought it would strike this really nice balance. It'd be the perfect synthesis between these two types of games, and I'm really disappointed that it's not. I thought it's going to have something for those people who are looking for depth and replayability, but also have something to make it accessible to those who aren't looking for that. But it really doesn't. I mean, sure, infantry combat can be fun, right? Running around with a lightsaber can be fun, but there's just not much outside of that. And if you're charging $60 for this, for just a multiplayer experience, that multiplayer experience needs to be dope as fuck, but it's not. And by the way, that co-op mode, it's just basic wave defense. I didn't think it was all that, honestly. Maybe in the full release when we play the other missions, those missions will be better, but as of right now, it's okay, it's whatever, you know? And you know, it kind of sucks, man. Those of us who are looking for a game that'll offer depth and complexity and replayability, we really don't have much to choose from anymore, because everyone's going towards this arcadey shit. You know, everyone's trying to make it more accessible. Where are we supposed to go? You know, what are we supposed to play nowadays? It sucks, man, because I really wanted to be positive about this game. I really wanted this game to be good. I really wanted to have a good time on it. And while I can't have a good time on it sometimes, it's just not all that for me, you know? But anyways, that's it for me, guys. I rambled on long enough. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to smash that like button. If you're not feeling too shy, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about the Star Wars Battlefront beta. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, be sure to hit that subscribe button and follow me on Twitter. Link will be in the description box below. That's it for me, though, guys. Over, man. Out.